Story is essential, people. If you want your speeches to soar, if you want people engaged with your presentations, stories are a must. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why stories are so important. And let's talk about how you can create your own stories and incorporate them throughout your speeches. Because let's face it, we have all sat in presentations that were dull, that were boring, and we walked away going, so let's dive deep. First of all, why is story so important? Story keeps the presentation moving. It engages the audience. When they are bombarded with too much information, too much data, the stories allow their brains to take a quick break, but also because the story is going to connect to your presentation, it keeps the momentum going. If you notice that people start scrolling on their phones during a presentation, or they open up their computer and they start working, you've lost them. You need to keep your audience engaged through storytelling. And let's dive in how we can do this. So I have my handy dandy whiteboard here. Let's see if we can pull it up. First things first. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't feel like you have to have some big traumatic experience or that you have to have some hilarious anecdote in the beginning. No, make it an everyday occurrence, something that happens every single day. So, for instance, get this. Mom, my hands are cold. This is too hard. Ugh. I'm freezing. Can we go inside? This is exactly what Everly, my 9-year-old daughter, was complaining about as we were outside building a snowman in the Texas snow. She wanted to do it. She begged me to go outside and build this snowman. But as we were doing it, she was exhausted. So I kept thinking, we often have these big, grand ideas. We often see these beautiful images and we think, oh, we can do that. But here's the deal. No matter how simple it may look, no matter how excited we are to do it, it's going to take some hard work. But let me tell you, it's worth it in the end. That right there is a brief story that I was able to tie into a moral. That right there is an everyday experience. It's something that my audience can relate to. So that gets into my second point. It needs to be relatable to the lesson. Relatable to the lesson and relatable to your audience. That's why everyday stories are so impactful, because people can see themselves in it. People can see themselves in it. Now, oftentimes we go and we attend conferences and people will tell traumatic stories or instances that maybe not only a lot of people can put themselves in. They can't see themselves in that moment. And especially at the beginning of your speech, man, you want to hook them in. And if they can't relate, guess what? You've already lost them. So don't necessarily go for shock value. Go for relatedness and make sure that you tie it into the lesson of your presentation or your speech. Now, here's the other thing. Start at the climax. Don't start your story with, it was a snowy day in Texas. We never get any snow. And my daughter and I were sitting there thinking, what can we do? What are we going to do? And so we hemmed and hawed. Like, no one needs that. I mean, it's not that it's a bad thing, but you want to keep it brief. You want to keep your story brief. And so in order to do that, start in the middle. Start where the stuff gets juicy. So for instance, I started my story with my daughter's complaints. My hands are cold. Oh, it's freezing out here. This is such hard work. I want to go inside. Right then, I'm starting at the problem. And then I get into the reflection. So having stories like that are going to keep your presentation moving, and they're going to keep your audience engaged. I've already mentioned keep it brief, but again, here's the kicker. I've already mentioned this too. It is about them, not you. So again, sometimes we want to go in with this shock value, or we want to go in with some big harebrained scheme. It's okay if it fits the situation, but know your audience. You want it to be relatable. You want your audience members to see themselves in the story. Now, two people that I absolutely admire and follow and sign up for everything that they have are Suzanne Evans, the owner of Driven Inc., and Colin Boyd. I absolutely love their teaching on storytelling. A lot of what I have learned has come from them. And one thing that both of them say over and over again is constantly write down the stories. So as you're going for a walk, as you're going for a jog, as you are at the grocery store, keep a journal with you. Keep a piece of paper. If it's an end of day reflection, use voice notes to just capture everyday stories. It could be something as simple as your shoe broke, or you were running late to work. I mean, everyday things, but you want to capture those moments so you don't forget about them. And then you're able to draw on a bank of stories when you have a specific lesson that you want to teach. This is something that I practice. I have been doing it for a year now. And let me tell you, it's so nice when I am developing a new speech and I know my audience, I know what my learning target is. I can go through and pull from my daily experiences that will relate and capture the audience's attention. So if you are interested in learning more about story and maybe you need some support crafting your story, I want you to sign up for a free session today. Well, during that time, we are going to go over how to write your story, how to capture it and weave it into your presentation. I'm going to drop the link below. I hope you're having an amazing day, my friends. And remember, storytelling is going to engage your audience and take it to the next